My name is Frank Moretti. I'm 81 years old, and I still live in the narrow brick row house on South 7th Street in South Philadelphia, where my wife Rosa and I raised our 3 children. Last Tuesday, the doorbell rang while I was downstairs in the basement workshop, trying to thread a needle on the old Singer machine that has sat in the same corner since 1978. My hand shook a little more than usual that morning. The thread kept missing the eye. It was Maria Delgado from 2 doors down. She stood on the stoop holding a navy suit jacket like it was made of glass. "Mr. Moretti," she said, "I know you don't do this anymore, but I have a job interview at the hospital tomorrow, and the sleeve is too short. I can't afford the alteration shop on Passyunk. Could you maybe look at it? I'll pay whatever you want." I almost told her no, not because the work was beyond me, because for the past 2 years I had been practicing how to become invisible inside my own life, so that nobody would have to rearrange theirs around me. I let her in anyway. We went down to the workshop. The smell of machine oil and old fabric hit her the same way it used to hit me every morning for 43 years, when I ran the little tailoring shop on the corner of 8th and Mifflin. I took the jacket, pinned the sleeve without saying much, and asked her to try it on over her t-shirt. While she stood on the small wooden platform I keep for fittings, I saw the way she kept glancing at the clock on the wall. She had 2 kids at home, a night shift at the corner store, and a mother in Puerto Rico she was trying to bring north. I recognized the look. I used to wear it myself when Rosa was sick and the bills kept coming. That was the first time in a long while I felt the old rhythm come back. Not pity, not charity, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing exactly what to do with my hands again. I finished the sleeve in 20 minutes. She tried to press $20 into my palm. I told her to keep it. Instead, I asked if she could reach the top shelf in my pantry the next time she went to the Italian market. My knees don't let me climb anymore, and the good olive oil I like is always on the highest rack. She laughed and said yes before I even finished the sentence. That small exchange changed the shape of my days, not because it solved everything, because it reminded me that I still had something the world wanted that wasn't just my frailty. I had spent the previous 18 months letting other people try to fix my situation the way they fix a broken machine, by removing the parts that made it complicated. My daughter Angela flew in from Chicago last spring and stood in this same kitchen, looking at the stack of unpaid bills on the table, the coffee mug I kept forgetting in the sink, and the pair of trousers I hadn't been able to hem because the light in the basement was too dim. She said, "Dad, we can't keep doing this. The house is too much." She meant well, they all did. I tried staying with her for 5 weeks. Their apartment had a nice guest room with a view of Lake Michigan, but the days stretched long and empty while she and her husband went to work. I felt like a houseplant someone remembered to water. The fridge had labels on the shelves so I wouldn't take the wrong leftovers. The shower had a plastic bench I was supposed to sit on. Even the way they spoke to me had changed. Slower, louder, as if volume could make up for the fact that I was no longer the man who once carried their mother across the threshold of this very house. I lasted until the night I overheard Angela whispering on the phone that she was always calculating what I might need next. I bought a train ticket home the next morning. After that, I tried the agency help. A pleasant woman named Denise came 3 mornings a week. She was efficient. She vacuumed, she did the laundry. She even tried to make my mother's Sunday gravy recipe from the handwritten card Rosa left behind. But every time she folded my shirts, she put them in the wrong drawer. She moved the button box from the shelf where it had lived for 40 years. She replaced my heavy iron skillet with a lighter non-stick one, so it would be easier. I never said anything harsh. I just watched my own life become optional. When the bills hit $380 a week, I told the agency I was fine on my own. Then came the tour of the retirement community in Cherry Hill. The marketing director walked me through sunlit hallways lined with identical beige doors. She showed me the dining room where dinner was served at 5:15 sharp, and the activity board filled with watercolor classes and bingo. A man about my age leaned on a walker and told me, "You get used to the schedule. It's peaceful." I smiled the way you smile at a doctor who just gave you bad news. I kept thinking about the way Rosa used to let me choose the radio station, even when she hated jazz. About how I used to stay up until midnight altering a wedding dress because the bride wanted it perfect. About how this place would take every last decision I still owned and replace it with a printed calendar. I told my daughter the place was very nice. I never went back. For months after that, I simply waited. I paid the bills. I ate the same 4 meals on rotation. I sat on the front stoop in the evenings watching the neighborhood change around me. New families moving in, old ones moving out. The corner store now selling vape pens next to the lottery tickets. I told myself this was dignity. This was autonomy. Until the afternoon Maria knocked again. This time she brought her 9-year-old son Javier with a torn backpack and a ripped pair of school pants. She asked if I could fix them before Monday. While I worked, Javier sat on the stool and asked why my sewing machine made that funny clacking sound. I showed him how the feed dogs moved the fabric. I let him press the foot pedal once under my hand. He grinned like I had handed in the keys to the city. Word traveled the way it does on South 7th Street. By the end of October, 3 more neighbors had found their way to my basement. Mrs. Kowalski from across the alley needed the waist taken in on her late husband's good coat. The young couple who just bought the house at the end of the block wanted the hem let down on curtains they found at the thrift store. A kid named Jamal, who fixes scooters on his front porch, asked if I could show him how to patch a leather jacket. I never advertised. I never charged. I simply said that if they could carry a bag of groceries up my steps, or change the battery in the smoke detector I couldn't reach, we would call it even. Some brought food, some brought gossip, some brought nothing but time. Maria started texting me every Thursday before she went to the market. "Need anything, Mr. M?" I would answer with 1 or 2 items, and she would leave them on my porch in the reusable bag I gave her. Jamal showed me how to use the grocery app on my phone, so I didn't have to call anyone when the weather turned bad. In return, I taught him how to sew a straight seam, so he could repair the upholstery on the scooters he sells. None of them treated me like a project. They treated me like the man who still knew how to make something useful out of what other people had given up on. I still need help. My back won't let me carry the trash cans to the curb anymore. My eyes tire after an hour under the sewing lamp. Some mornings the arthritis in my fingers makes the first thread a small battle. But the difference is this: the help comes wrapped in respect. It arrives because I have something to give back, not because I have become a list of tasks on someone else's spreadsheet. The system out there, the one that writes assessments and schedules visits and talks about levels of care, sees only what I can no longer do. It sees the house with the steep stairs and the man who sometimes forgets which day the recycling goes out. It does not see the 43 years I spent making sure other people looked and felt like themselves again. It does not see the way Maria's son now stands a little straighter in pants that fit. It does not see Jamal learning a skill his own father never had time to teach him. I have stopped waiting for permission to keep living on my own terms. I have started rewriting the rules in small, stubborn ways. The basement door stays open on Tuesdays and Fridays from 2 until 5. Anyone can come. Anyone can leave. No forms. No assessments. Just a cup of coffee and whatever conversation happens while the machine is running. Some afternoons the place fills with the sound of 3 or 4 people talking over each other in English and Spanish, while I sit at the singer and let my hands remember what they were made for. The fear of disappearing is still there, quiet in the background like an old radio left on low. But it no longer runs the house. I don't know how long this arrangement will last. At 81, only a fool pretends he has a 5-year plan. Maybe one day the stairs will win. Maybe one day the city will decide the house needs more repairs than I can manage. But that day is not today. Today I still wake up in the bed Rosa and I bought in 1974. I still make my coffee strong the way she liked it. I still decide when the shop opens and when it closes. And twice a week the basement fills with the sound of people who need something I can still give. If you are younger and you are watching your parents or your grandparents try to hold on to the last threads of their own lives, remember this: most of us are not afraid of the fall. We are afraid of becoming the thing that gets neatly folded and put away so other people can stop worrying. We are afraid of the moment when our choices become suggestions and our habits become inconveniences. And if you are my age or close enough to taste it, do not believe too quickly that the only doors left are the ones other people open for you. There is still a middle space, narrow maybe and a little dusty, but it is wide enough for 2 people to stand in the same room and trade what they have without either one of them disappearing. Look for it in your own basement, your own front porch, your own stubborn refusal to let the world finish writing your story for you. I read every comment you leave, and if you want to sit with me again, come back. The machine is always threaded. The coffee is always hot. We'll figure out the next sleeve together.